You're listening to the God Stories Radio Podcast with Mike, Fritz, and Tina. Listen to us live on the Mixlr app. Also, be sure to follow us on iHeartRadio and you will never miss an episode.
Hi, everyone. I'm Barbara Beck, host of Welcome Home on Good Life 45. And you're listening to my good friends, Fritz, Mike, and Tina, right here on God Stories Radio, bringing hope, comfort, and encouragement to the world through the power of the Christian testimony. Keep listening for a big blessing from the Lord.
Welcome, everyone, to God Stories Radio. This is session 202. I'm Fritz.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Tina.
202, Mikey.
202. Hey,
Who'd have thunk it?
Tina's here.
Yes. She's back.
I'm back. I'm back.
It's just not the same without you. There's, the flow isn't there.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
But we did do pretty good.
Yeah,
We did okay.
Yeah, you did. You guys did. You always do awesome.
Yeah.
So.
I was really proud of Mikey. He stepped up.
And you had a lot of Facebook
He stepped up. I stepped back.
Yeah. You guys did great.
Mikey persevered this week, man. He's had a dental phenomenon.
Mm-hmm. So far, it's been a week from hell. But Thursday night, I'm here.
Amen to that.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. And we want to thank all of our listeners out there who've been praying for special folks for us. Dan and Danielle Archer, we've been asking you guys to pray for them. And if you would continue to pray for healing, that would be great. They're both doing well right now.
But they both need it. Who knows who can take care of the other? I mean, they're both going through something big. Each one
I know,
of them.
right?
Right.
Good grief.
So please pray for Dan and Danielle Archer.
Amen to that.
Help join us in that.
And do you know the? Well, I didn't know if you knew the donation site for the food donation, but if we can find that out, maybe we'll pop it up on the Facebook page or something like that. That way, if folks feel compelled, they can make a small donation to help feed them through this time.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And for all of you who are praying for me, thank you so much. I can feel those prayers, so I really do appreciate it, and it means a lot, so thank you.
Fabulous. Man, it's good to be here. I love me some
is.
Thursday night.
I know, it's exciting.
We want to thank Angie Moore, though. She hooked us up with some vittles tonight.
Yes, she did.
Man.
Yes.
But we had to come out here and do this first.
I got some pre-blessed Chick-fil-A chicken.
I know.
And some
veggies.
Lovely fruit and veggies.
Fruit.
And brownies.
I saw that brownie.
Oh, yeah.
It's calling my name.
Yeah, make sure it calls my name before it calls your name.
We'll see who gets out of here first, babe. It's normally.
We know it's not you.
It's not me. Yeah, I lose automatically.
Uh-huh.
That's the price you pay for being a producer. You are not first to the brownies.
So how about your week?
I've had a great week.
Some of us should have.
I know, right? It's been very busy, but great. Doing a lot of, getting geared up for Easter.
That's right.
Doing set changes and things like that. And we're going to unveil Mike's grand piano. On
That's
Easter.
going to be fun.
I know, right? He's so excited.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool. The school, Southlake High School, donated a baby grand piano, and we went and picked it up, and we gutted it, took the harp out of it, everything, shaved down his keyboard, or MIDI controller as he calls it, and we slid it in there. Mm-hmm. And then we built another casing for the keyboard up top. And it's cool. It is too cool for school. You can't tell when you look at it that it's not the original keys in that thing.
Right.
And we stuffed all the computer and all the wires in the piano.
Right.
So you can't see any of that.
Wow.
It's cool. I was glad to be part of that. It was hard work, but glad to be part of that. So what's going on over there? I know, unfortunately, we don't have any Facebook likes this week.
We don't, but we have a special listener.
Yeah.
So we want to just give a shout out to Stuart Cooling if he's listening.
Stuart, if you're listening, welcome.
And thank you for listening. Make sure you like us on Facebook.
I'll tell you who is listening right now, Mr. Marcus Sinclair.
All right.
In the house.
Yay.
On the Mixler.
Our good buddy.
Hope
but
we're
Mark. Looking for anybody out there that has not liked us yet on Facebook from wherever you are. If you can do it, please do so.
Yeah, and Mixler's fun because you can chat with us and everything. We love questions, and it's going to be great. We're going to have kind of a semi-panel, I guess, next week, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. That's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be great. We're going to have Pastor Chris Tabone, Pastor Mac, and who knows, they might bring another pastor or maybe Bo or somebody like that. Bo told me he doesn't need much of an excuse to come back. He said he'd come every Thursday if he could. So
it'd be fun.
That'd be awesome. So, all right. Well, glad you guys had a good week. Glad Mikey persevered, and he's here tonight. So far.
Yeah. Riding
that wave. And I thanked Angie for the food. So I'm going to turn it over to you, babe, or is Angie going to introduce our guest tonight?
Actually, Angie is going to introduce our guest tonight.
Fabulous.
However, I just want to mention that I got an opportunity to meet our fellow guest through my good friend Angie Moore, and it was such a pleasure just hanging out and spending part of the day with you, and it was really a blessed time and a blessed moment. And that's when I asked him to do the show, and without hesitation he said yes. And
all right,
I was really touched by that, because anybody who wants to share their testimony for the benefit of others, I think, is a pretty special person. So Miss Angie, you also being a very special person to me, would you mind introducing our guest?
Thank you, Tina. So tonight we have Sylvester with us, and I met Sylvester through my son Stuart, who is into all kinds of collectibles and so forth that Sylvester and his lovely wife Angela have at their shop. And so I went in one day. Everybody kept telling me, you got to go in and meet Sylvester and Angela. And so I happened to come in to the shop, and Sylvester was there, and he had on this really cool shirt, and it had like a patch on it. And he'll have to remind me what number was on there. But it was so cool, and I'd never seen anything like it. And I said, that is such a cool shirt. Tell me about it. And then he proceeded to tell me, and I'm going to turn it over to him so he can tell you exactly what it was about. And I was so touched and so blessed to hear his story. So here's Sylvester.
Thank you, guys.
Sylvester, welcome to the show, my friend.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
This is awesome.
Here. This is a first in so many aspects. Before I even delve into that, I got to let you guys know my wonderful wife, Angela, I wouldn't have been here without her, because she knows it's the story of our son and what happened to him, and I'll get into that in a little bit. I'll try not to choke up too much. But
you're in good company, brother. Yeah. So, let the Lord do His work. Tell that story, man.
I will.
God's
your family.
But I will tell you, and for your listeners that are out there, for me, this is going to be an exclusive. This is a first. I have what I'm going to share here has not been shared with anyone whatsoever. So
we're honored.
This is
we are
first.
honored, brother. We are honored to have you, and
Very
this
privileged.
is great.
Thank you.
And 94 countries are awaiting what you have to say. I guarantee somebody will be touched.
Uh-huh.
All right. Let's answer Angie's question first. The patch. It was symbolic of my son who passed away a couple of years ago. His name's Julian. It is a blue patch. It has JM15. That 15 is the number of his basketball jersey. He began playing basketball in middle school, went to AAU basketball, playing with the Marlins and with the Wildcats. I know they're not going to be listening, but I think it's going to reverberate ways. But Angie is actually the second person to ask me about the patch that I wear on my work shirt when I'm at the store. I've always worn it. I've never made a secret of it, but I've never really talked about it. My son Julian, God rest his soul, I don't know quite where to begin with that. He was such a loving kid. He gives his last. A good example of that comes to mind. Stuart had come to me and said, "Hey, I want to sell my cards." Stuart loves playing Magic the Gathering. So when Stuart had his cards, he said, "Listen, if you can loan me the money so that I can do something special for my dad for Thanksgiving, you can have these cards and I'll pay you back if we use them as collateral." And I said, "Sure, Stuart, I'll do that. Not a problem." I already knew what was going to happen, and I'd already talked it over with Angela. She says, "So you just gave him the money, right?" I said, "Yes, I gave him the money, but he wouldn't just take the money because Stuart is a proud young man, as I am, and I understand that." Well, Stuart came back, and he came back to repay the money, and I said, "Okay, here are your cards. Keep your money. Thank you very much." And so he started breakdown. He started crying at the store, and I went out, gave him a big hug. I said, "Stuart, it's okay. I'm not just here as a business to exploit people to make money. My job is, you love collectibles, I love collectibles. I'm going to find you the best collectible at the best price, but I'm also in the community. I'm not trying to just be here to get money from the community. I want to give back to the community." So we give back in various ways. Part of the ways that we give back is through our program of grades. Every child that comes in with a report card, every A, we give them $2. And so it goes on a gift card. And it teaches them responsibility. We push, do your grades, do your chores. We're not just going to reward you just because, but you have to do the work. But we're here for you. And I'll never forget, my neighbors told me, "You're going to go out of business in a year if you keep this up, because everyone around here gets straight A's."
Yeah.
I said, "Prove me wrong. I'm still in business. It's been we're going on 2 years."
Mm-hmm.
So
They told the owner of Chick-fil-A too he was crazy for closing on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So all of everything has been about Julian. We moved here because of Julian. He got accepted to Montverde Academy, not for his basketball prowess, but for his academic prowess. Of course, he met the coach. He actually met the coach as they were about to practice. They were going to play for a national championship for the high schools in New York. And we were here searching for a house because when he got accepted, my wife and I immediately said, "Hey, we got to go to Florida. We got to find a house. We got to find a place to stay." Julian asked me, and I'll never forget, the coach said, "Listen, come and scrimmage with the guys because we want to see what you have." Well, I can kind of understand why he said that, because at 13, Julian was 6'3".
Wow.
And at 6'3", he was a phenomenal person, phenomenal basketball player, gave you his last. And it was just, it's always been a blessing. So let's dive into me actually being here. I got to be honest. For a long time, and I mean a long time, I was literally mad with God. And I said, God, why him? Could have taken me. It's like, nah, we want Julian. I said, why him? I said, take me. I said, even if you take me and then kick me out, send me to hell, I'm fine with that. But he'll be here. But take me. It happened. I remember it like it was yesterday. It happened. He went to school, and my wife and him had prayed at the door. He came in, he gave me a hug, woke me up, because I worked late that night. So he gave me a hug, woke me up. Love you, Dad. I said, love you too. See you later, buddy. He says, okay. So off he went to school. When he went to school, I think it was maybe second period or third period, something like that. He started complaining about a headache. And eventually he went to the nurse. He collapsed there. They called me, and then they called the ambulance to come and pick him up from school. I got there first. My wife had a doctor's appointment that I dropped her off at. I got there first, and they said, where would you like to take him? There was two hospitals. There was Chesapeake General, which was closer, and it was Children's Hospital of the King's Daughters. That was maybe 20 minutes away. I said, take him to the closest one, as any parent would do. He gets to Chesapeake General, and they're thinking, this 6'3" young boy is a man. They didn't understand that that's a young boy. And so they kept calling him, this young boy. And when you think of a boy, you're thinking, oh, he's only 5'2", 5'3", 5'5" at the most. Mm-hmm. So they find out what it is. They said he's got bleeding on the brain. They said, we got to get him over to the Children's Hospital of the King's Daughters. They're better equipped to handle it. So they transport him, off they go. As he's being transported, my wife rides with him. I followed behind the ambulance, and the ambulance tells my wife to call me and say, listen, you can't follow us because we're going to be running red lights. And I told my wife, so will I. I have to go too. I'm going to be there. They said, listen, we want you to get there safe, so back off a little bit and meet us there. I did, begrudgingly. I got there, and they took him right into surgery. They said surgery was going to be about 4 hours. 2 hours later, they come out to us and they say, listen, he had what's called an AVM that ruptured and burst. They didn't expect him to live through the night. And, of course, my wife and I broke down. My family was there. We had to go break the news to them. We had to say goodbye to our son, who had just gone off to school. From there, they told us, hey, get ready. He's going to be in ICU, Children's Hospital. He's not going to make it through the night. So my wife was there. We told our pastor about it. Pastor spread the word to the church. And pretty soon, everybody knew about it. Well, after that night, and my wife spent the night, he survived. He kept persevering. And then they said, well, he lived through the night. Okay. We've got to get his levels down in his brain, the swelling on his brain. We've got to get it down. Well, they're pumping him full of medicines and everything to work on the swelling on his brain. They said, well, we don't expect him to live past the next 2 days. So my wife is still there. She never left the hospital. I had to drag myself to go this place, take care of things around the house. take care of what the 2 dogs that we have at home. His 2 dogs, by the way, which their names are Leonardo and Raphael, 2 Chihuahuas. He named them Ninja Turtles.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
He named them. I'll digress for a minute. We always took a trip as families to Myrtle Beach, Florida, and we'd stay for like a week. Well, we went to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. We stayed in it's this town next to Myrtle Beach. We didn't stay exactly in Myrtle Beach. Well, we went there, and my wife is like, I want a dog. And Julian says, well, I want a dog too. I'm like, all right, great. You get 1 dog. We're not getting 2. Well, they come across these Chihuahua puppies. And Julian picks out one, Leonardo. And so Raphael was the one that was left. So with Raphael being left, my wife said, oh, he kind of looks a little ugly. No one's going to take him home. I'm worried about him.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there thinking, we're getting 1 dog. I put my foot down. I've spoken. And I walk off. And we're at a flea market at the time. Well, needless to say, she's got a puppy. He's got a puppy. Then they go in the back seat with him. They bring him back home. And he names them Leonardo and Raphael. I did not like these dogs. I do not like these dogs at all. And
I've put my foot down before, too.
It didn't, and it doesn't work, does it?
No.
You know it. You know the ending.
Well, the dogs come home, and the first week is okay. The second week, they come back, and they start gravitating toward me, and they start following me around. And I'm like, why are you dogs following me? Go away. Leave me alone. Your masters are over there. I want to sit here and relax. Well, as you can tell, and I said it earlier, we have those 2 dogs, Leonardo and Raphael, and they still follow me around to this day. I'm a little perturbed by it, but then I love the dogs to death now, but that's the story of how we got those 2 dogs, and they've been...
Isn't that funny how they always gravitate to the ones that don't want to have anything to do with them?
Man.
Yeah.
So, but my wife's in there. She's in the hospital with them, and they keep telling her, they keep stretching the timeline. All of a sudden, the timeline goes from a day to 2 days to 3 days to he's not going to make it past the week. Wife never leaves his side. I'm forced to leave, go handle things at home, feed the dogs, let the dogs out, meet with his school, his principals, the faculty, all of the teachers have been great. I think they kind of picked up on what was happening, and Crestwood Middle School in Chesapeake, Virginia, best kept secret in the Hampton Roads area in Virginia. They made sure that I would eat every day because it was going a day or 2 that I would not eat because I'm so worried about my son. I'm going back and forth to the hospital, coming home. I'm forced to leave. I'm making sure that Angela's okay. I'm trying to be strong for everyone. And they made sure they came by every day with food, prayers, support. Every day they were there. It had almost gotten to the point where I was like, why are y'all here every day? He's going to be home in a little while. It's okay. But every day they would come over. That's where I would get to break down, release, let out, let things happen. Again, while all this is happening, I'm a little upset with God. I'm mad at God at this point. Mm-hmm. So this is still going on. Mm-hmm. Well, as time goes on, and the doctors are starting to give up now, giving a timeline of when Julian is not going to be here anymore, they just said, we don't know. Maybe he'll wake up. If he wakes up, that's great. But if he wakes up, we don't know the extent of the damage to his brain. Mm-hmm. So I just prayed, and I went into their chapel almost every day. And normally you go into the chapel to pray. but when I went into the chapel, I'm sitting there alone, and I'm looking at the cross and the pictures that they have, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, why? I said, you're God, you can fix this. Why are you not fixing this? So, angry. The church that we go to, or that we went to in Chesapeake, Mount Lebanon, the pastors, the brothers there, they were like, we need you to come to church. We need you to come to church. And I'm like, mad. No, not coming. Don't want to go. Why should I? God told me he wouldn't do this, but yet here we are. So one day, let me preface that. My son and I were ushers. So we were proud of it, proud ushers. I think one day they told me, listen, we need you to fill in for someone. I'm like, I'm not filling in for anyone. I'm still mad, mad at God. I fill in, and as I'm there, I'm at my post, and the tears are running down my face. And no one even blinked at it. Hi, how are you? Hey, how's it going? Hey, how are you? And I still did my best to persevere, move forward. Still mad at God. When it was time for prayer, still mad at God. And I'm like, yes, I'm praying to you, God, but you didn't hear me. Why is my son still laying there? And so as time went on, well, we're in week 2 now.
Wow.
He wasn't supposed to be there, but week 2, he's there. There's one blessing. Week 2, he's there, and we're still holding out hope. We're still praying, hey, he'll get better. He's going to wake up. My wife is there, never left his side. I couldn't get her to leave. I wasn't going to try to. Mm-hmm. If I couldn't leave, I wouldn't have left. But somebody had to do it, and I guess they appointed me that person. It was difficult seeing him there and just not seeing his smile, not seeing him go through his ritual that we went through together. But I owe him a lot, and I think he's the reason for Windu's Comics and Collectibles. The original name was going to be C&C Collectibles, or C&J Collectibles, I'm sorry, which was Chandler and Julian's Comics and Collectibles. That was the original name. He told me, well, Dad, listen, you like Mace Windu. Why don't you call it Windu's Comics and Collectibles? I said, sure, why not? We'll do that. So that's what I changed the name to, Windu's Comics and Collectibles. I knew this kid was special because at 5 years old, and it's another testament of everything that I have so far and what I've been blessed with. I have a black Yukon. It's 2005. It's been good to me. I've had it for a long time. My son picked this truck out for me when he was 5. I told my wife, or I made the announcement to my wife, and the guys will get a kick out of this. I told my wife, listen, I want a Hummer, I want a Hummer, but I don't think you guys can fit into it. But that's okay. We'll make it work because I want a Hummer. Well, she says, no, let's get something that everyone can fit into. I said, all right, fine.
Did you put your foot down again?
I did. It didn't work.
Well, okay.
It didn't.
I just wondered.
Yeah, I did.
Seems to be a pattern here.
Yes, there is.
Yes, it didn't work.
This kind of reminds me of Stuart at a younger. This kind of reminds me of Stuart at a younger age. He was like, "Hey, Mom, you would really look good in this vehicle." I'm like, "No, I don't think so."
Exactly. Well, at 5, my son Julian would sit in that truck. It had the captain's chairs in the front and in the back, of course. And he sits in the back, has on his shades. He'd roll the window down, have his arm out there, and you think, that's a mini me, because I'd have my arm out the window. I'd have on my sunglasses.
Yep.
Well, prior to that truck, we've looked at about 7 or 10 trucks before that. He gets into them, he looks into it, it's like, all right. And then he gets out, and we can take him on his way, and everyone's happy. This particular truck, he would not get out of the truck. And he just cried and cried and cried. It was a Sunday. So we figured, all right, listen, we'll think about it. He says, didn't you like the truck? We should get the truck. And he's crying, oh my God, we should get the truck. Did you like it? I liked it. So I was like, all right, it'll pass. No worries. And I told Angela that. He'll get over it. By Wednesday, she picked him up from daycare. He's asking the same question. Where's the truck? Did you get the truck? You said you were going to talk about it. Did y'all get the truck?
Amazing that a 5-year-old pays attention to details like that.
We had to get
They forget what they've eaten for dinner, nevertheless.
Exactly.
Wow, that's amazing.
So we ended up getting the truck. And ever since we've had the truck, I said, well, I guess this is the truck. We've taken trips to New York, Texas, Florida twice a year. I drive the truck down. I love my truck. Once we did that, once we got the truck together and everything was good, he started riding more and more in the truck. And then as he grew, he started riding in the front seat of the truck. And the game that he would play every time we got out of that truck is I race you to the door, and he'd always cheat. I'm saying that about you, Julian. Sorry, buddy, but you cheated. I will tell you. I'd pull up into the driveway, and I'd put the car in park, and before I could turn the key in the ignition off, he'd unlock the door, open the door, and say, I race you to the door, and he'd run to the door, and he said, yeah, I beat you. One of his lifelong dreams was to beat Dad in a game of basketball. He could never really pull that one off. Of course, just before he passed, when he was playing with the AAU basketball team, the Marlins, I said, yeah, I can't beat this kid. He's going to beat me in basketball. I can't do it.
Young energy will prevail at some point.
Yes, indeed. So that's why it kind of hit us when when all of this happened with him and he got sick. I really didn't have time to stop and say, oh my God, my son's sick. What are we going to do? How can we help him? All we could do was pray and keep going. Of course, as time grew on, again, my anger grew with God. Mm-hmm. And I think it boiled to a head where I was talking to Angela, and I told her, she said something to me. I can't remember what it was. And I said, I'm not burying my son. My son is going to bury me. So he's going to pull through this, and he's going to be fine. That didn't happen. And again, my anger with God kind of grew. It grew even more so. It grew to the point where I would not listen to K-Love Radio. Julian loved K-Love Radio. I would not listen to it. I would not watch basketball anymore because my son wasn't there. I wouldn't watch football. I'd watch a few games here and there, but I wouldn't do it. I was completely shutting down from everything, from the world around me, and in some cases from Angela, my wife. Julian finally passed. It was like 4:30 in the morning on the 15th of April. And when he did, the nurse called us and said, hey, his vital signs are getting weaker. You need to come. That was the one time I could get her home to sleep in her own bed, Angela. When we went there, we were there with him at the end. We said a prayer and we said our goodbyes. And we packed up everything and left. And I put everything in the car and we came home. Nobody had known. I passed it on to the school. The school immediately shut everything down and had a memorial service for him that day. And they had his number up on the scoreboard. And then all of the kids were brought into the gym. A lot of them broke down. A lot of them broke down and was like, why? We thought he was getting better. They had elected him Falcon of the Year because it was the Crestwood Falcons. So they elected him Falcon of the Year, Athlete of the Year, because of all of the contributions that he had made to that school and to the student body. He wasn't an elected official or anything along that line. But this was the guy that I think it was a young man with autism that was at the school was being bullied. Julian saw it. He walked up. He said, hey. And remember, he's 6'3". So he walks up. He's like, hey, he's with me. Don't bother with him anymore. And he told him, come on, let's go. And he's standing there. No one picked on him ever since. And we didn't realize that when he went home, he told his parents about Julian. And he gave his parents a hug. He had never hugged his parents in like about, I think it was 10 years.
Wow.
He'd never hugged them. So we found all of this out after Julian had passed. Well, we also found out that it was a big mystery. We were blaming Julian, but it was a big mystery that was finally solved. So we would give Julian money when he goes on field trips. Like, listen, here's some money. And it's usually more than enough. Well, he come back with nothing and nothing to show for it. We go, Julian, what happened? What'd you spend your money on? He says, well, this guy didn't have money for lunch, so I bought him something to eat. This guy didn't have any money to buy something out of the gift shop, so I bought him something. And then I bought her something, and he just kept giving, kept giving. I'm like, I couldn't get mad at that. That's the one thing out of all of this that I couldn't get angry about. Mm-hmm. But again, the anger was still there. And I had went back to church, did my duties as the usher, and was there still going through the motions. It was like a fog. Mm-hmm. It was like, why is this happening? And I'll keep saying that throughout everything that's going on here. Why is this happening? And I know there are people out there who ask this question a lot. Why is this happening? I hear about these miracles all the time. I hear about, hey, this guy was underwater for 45 minutes. He was dead. We brought him back to life, and he's still here. But my son didn't get healed. Why? Was there a reason? Is there something that I don't understand? I'm trying to understand. I want to understand. I kind of had given up trying to understand, and I said, you know what? Forget it. I'm done. I went to church, and I'm sitting at my post, and I said, you know what, God, okay, fine. I'm done. I said, I can't do this anymore. I said, it's very painful. Everyone's telling me how strong I was, and I told them, you have no idea. I am not at all. I am very, very angry right now. We moved, Angela and I found a house here in Florida because we're sitting there, we're thinking, do we still move here? Do we not move here? What do we do now? We're at that point. And she said, you know what? Let's just move here. Let's just go down here. Now, I didn't think we were supposed to be here, but here I am, and I'm here on the show. We get in, we stay at a hotel, and we're going around looking at different houses. Well, as we're looking at a house, and I'm still angry, but true story. I can't believe that it happened. And every time I tell people, they look at me and they go, it didn't happen that way. I go, yes, it did. So we're looking at houses and we're like, okay, we're going to get a house here in honor of our son, Julian. Well, we looked at some rentals. We looked at some other properties. And we ended up at Highland Ranch, where we are now. So as we're at Highland Ranch, we pull up, and it was a way stop of us going from one house to another house. It was just a pit stop. That's all it was. We were killing time. It's like, oh, let's go look at the new houses. It's just a pit stop. Well, we get there, and the saleswoman in the office at the time, we said, listen, we want to look at this particular brand of house. It was an Emerson. I said, we want to look at the Emerson house. She says, okay, well, I can show you the model. And my realtor says, well, don't you have any in inventory? And she said, it's funny you should mention that. One just came on the market 20 minutes ago. Uh-huh. As we walk in, 20 minutes ago, one just came on the market.
Coincidence.
So we go in and we go look at it. She says, now, you have to like it as is. We can't change anything because it's an inventory house. It's already built. So I'm like, all right, fine. I didn't expect to like it. I told my wife, if you like it, we're buying it. I said, as simple as that.
That's a smart man right there.
Yes. I said, if you like it, we're buying it. I said, if it doesn't have a pool, no problem. We're going to get you a pool. She says, okay. So we go look at the house, and it is everything that my wife ever wanted as far as the details in the kitchen, her home office. The doors are already built into the home office. The patterns on the tile, the paint colors, the carpet, everything is exactly what she wanted.
That's how the Father rolls,
yes,
right there.
Indeed. Mm-hmm. So we go back and we start to talk about the house and we start talking about the price. And so the salesperson says, this house isn't going to stay on the market long, and the price is the price. We were like, there's got to be some wiggle room. So here's where it gets interesting. And I know, and I talk to Angela about this all the time. I was like, I know this was God. So as we're haggling over the price, another couple walks in and says, so listen, we're interested in an Emerson. Do you think you have any available? And the salesperson looks back at us and says, I don't know. Do I have any available? I said, well, I guess you don't. I guess that house is sold, and we're going to pay the price that you're asking. And I think that was God's way of telling us, look, I put it out here in front of you. So can you go ahead and buy it, please? You have the ability to buy it. Just buy it and be done with it.
Don't feel bad. He'd have to do that to me, too.
With two other people.
Oh, yeah.
Confirmation.
Yeah. I need two people's confirmation
she needs
before
at least
I do
two.
anything.
Oh, my goodness.
I tease her about that.
See, and that's what we were going through. And it was like, it's funny. We get it, and then little signs start showing up. Bellflower Way, which is where the house is actually a blue flower. My son's favorite color is blue. She wanted 10-foot doors because we knew our son was going to be about 6'7" if he had lived. So we needed the 10-foot doors. She had all the 10-foot doors. Everything was there. When people see me and they see me in my truck, they always wonder, well, why don't you get a new truck? You can afford it. Oh, well, sure, I could afford it, but that truck is special to me. I can't get rid of that truck.
Well, you got that right.
Yeah, I can't get rid of that truck. It's really amazing to me that all of the signs, all of the different things that have happened to Angela and me, and in some instances, that anger in me still swells back up. I know God is in control. I believe in God. I love God. But that doesn't stop me from sometimes being angry with him when I look when I'm driving in my truck alone, and I look to my right, and my buddy isn't there. And I look in the back seat behind me, and there's different memories of him there with me. The pastor at his funeral did something that I'm still trying to wrap my head around. The homegoing service was beautiful. But before we even got to that, Angela and I had a dream. We dreamed that his casket would be blue, and that it would be in the huge cathedral. Our funeral was his homegoing was supposed to be in the smaller church, and that's what they told us. That's what we were told. So we planned for that. Well, we both had a dream that, hey, it's going to be the blue casket, and it's going to be in the big cathedral. We had that dream. We both had the same dream. That's not a coincidence. I didn't pay it any mind because, again, at the time, I was very, very angry. When it was time when it got closer to his homegoing service, we got a phone call. We said, oh, by the way, Pastor has stepped in and made a command decision. We are having this in the cathedral, and we are going to make it work, and that is the end of that. And please make all of your arrangements for the cathedral. If you have any questions, call us back. Thank you. That was what we got.
Exactly. The bottom rolls once again.
Yes. So we get in, and we think, well, I'm thinking anyway, that in the cathedral, we're not going to have enough, it's just too much space. We're not going to be able to have enough people to fill that up. Not that I was worried about anything along that line, but the thought just crossed my mind. Well, as we're coming in, I'm thinking, I must be coming into a concert or something, or these people must be here for something else that's happening after my son's funeral, because this place is packed. And it was kids, parents, the faculty. They left school. The school got out at 3. The homegoing service was at 4. They left school, came there. It was packed.
How much did the cathedral seat, did you say? Roughly.
About 1,500.
Wow.
It was packed. So I'm walking in. I barely see everyone. Of course, I'm grief-stricken and angry. Mm-hmm. Let's not leave that part out. You're going to hear that a lot.
Sure.
Angry. But we go in, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, oh, man. His first AAU coach and trainer, as it turned out, was there to give a speech for him. And he got up to the podium, and he froze because he was about to be overcome with emotion. Mm. So I'm looking up, and I'm like, oh, here we go. I have to be strong again. So I get up, I walk up there, I put my arm around him, and I tell him, it's all right. I'm right there with you. Say what Julian would want you to tell him. And then he begins, and he's fine. The pastor invited all of his friends, all of the faculty, give yourself to God. He said, he started out, this is the first service that I've attended where it wasn't because of violence that this child is laying here. Mm. It was because he got sick. And God wanted him to come home. So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, how did you know that? Where did that come from? It was just mind-boggling to me. But as he went on, it became more clear. Again, I'm still angry.
You will see Julian again.
Oh, yes. That part I do know. It doesn't stop the frustration of what's happened. And I guess, again, this is a first. I needed to share this.
You needed to do this because this is actually healing.
Nobody, I haven't spoken to Angela about it. And when I told her, she kind of looked at me and she's, you are? I go, and I just kind of looked at her and frowned. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to talk. I'll talk. I'll say it. Because she couldn't get me to talk. And that's my wife. I love her dearly, but she couldn't get me to what I'm saying now. I couldn't relive it. I couldn't say it. And I said, it's time to throw it out there because it's going to help someone. And I saw that.
It's going to help you as well.
I hope so.
It will.
I knew when it helped Stuart, and that's when I knew. I said, it helped Stuart. I said, oh, I was like, I can't believe this. So,
well, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
I know.
Give, yes. Right?
Yes. But
so you're carrying on your son's legacy in that way.
I have to. And it's funny, when we had the grand opening at Wendy's Comics and Collectibles, they surprised my neighbors and my wife surprised me. And again, no one has really said anything about it or hasn't asked anything about it. But there's a gaming area inside of my store. And in there is a plaque that says Julian's Game Room. And it has a Flash symbol on it. He loved the Flash. And Hawkeye. So that plaque up there, no one has asked me about it. It's been sitting there and I had it right alone. There's nothing else around it. No one has asked me about that plaque. And I said, okay, that's fine. I don't need you to ask me about it. I just know if you ask me, that's Julian's Game Room. Don't change a thing. Don't mess up anything in there, and we'll be fine. But I am trying to carry on from what he started because no one else will, and no one else has been doing it from what I've seen. I'm originally from Virginia, lived there all my life except for about 10 years while I lived in Washington, D.C.
Sylvester, can we back up to the cathedral?
Mm-hmm.
Because you were about to share a moment right there that you were going to tell us after the coach gave the talk, and then you started to realize something, and you were about to share how he knew that information, and then you were about to share a thought right there, and I really want to hear that.
Oh, yes. I can't believe you remembered that. All right. Along that time, man, that was rough. He gives his speech. Everything's fine. The pastor then tells all of his accomplishments, tells Julian's accomplishments. So then he invites them to come and join the church. And then he says, you don't even have to join this church. Give yourself to God. And he waited. He was right in front of his casket, and he waited. He says, I'll wait. And it was like about a minute, 2 minutes, that awkward minute when
sure
things are there. He waited. All of a sudden, the kids started coming up.
Yeah.
And I went, what?
That stands a hair up on my arms.
Oh, the kids started coming. I mean, they came in droves. They were coming up. They were crying, and then they were right in front of his casket. And then the pastor says, you don't have to join this church. Give yourself to God. Find a church home that's right for you. And go from there. And I'm saying that in that moment, I'm looking up and I go, these kids looked up to him more than I ever knew.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
he's passed, and he brought how many kids to Christ?
Yeah, right.
I think he told me the number was 225.
Wow.
Whoa.
It was 225.
That had to be shared.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
That's
looking
amazing.
and I'm going,
Praise Father.
what? So we come out. All of his basketball teammates from both teams had on their jersey, and they're lined up out the door as he's being put into the hearse, wheeled out into the casket. We go to the repast, and we just had food there, and we had open mic that the kids could come up and say anything they wanted to Julian, and we had someone there recording it. Lo and behold, the kids came up and they just started giving testimony after testimony after testimony of how Julian has touched their lives. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, this is the guy that was telling me, you know, Dad, I don't know if I have many friends at school. But his faith was always there. Mm-hmm. And they told him, as a matter of fact, one teacher shared with us, it was something that it's amazing. She had a dilemma. It was about another job, whether to just keep teaching there or to take the other job. So Julian just walked up to her and says, well, what's wrong? She says, oh, I'm okay, Julian. He says, no, there's something wrong. What's wrong? So she shared with him and said that, look, I'm thinking about taking another job, I'm thinking about doing this. She says, oh, you can't leave. We need you here. She said, I know, but it's more money. She says, well, I need you here. Said, you know what? Let God decide what to do. Just turn it over to God, and he'll guide you in the right direction. And God is smiling down on you, and he just walked off. He's like, and have a good day. And he left. I'm like, did you say that he said that? She said, yes. I said, please write that down and give it to us. I said, we'd definitely like to keep that around. I never knew the impact of him passing and that he had to pass away for all of this to happen. Because if it didn't, then someone else would have gotten lost.
225.
Brother was planting seeds, man, along the way.
Now, gets a little better. So the day that they predicted that he would pass away, some people from LifeNet came to see us. And they said, listen, we were wondering if, once Julian passed away, that you'd be willing to donate his organs to help someone else. He wanted to do that. Sure, of course, that's not a problem. Well, they came prepared. Well, he wasn't. So on the day that it was supposed to happen, he's still chugging along. Mm-hmm. Julian's still there. Well, when it finally did happen, and I never thought anything else about it, we got a couple of letters. And one letter said, hey, thank you so much. Without your son's blessing or donation, I wouldn't be here right now. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking and I'm going, really? And I'll be honest. I read the letter and I'm just like, yeah, I'm glad you're still here. Still angry. Mm-hmm. Folded it up.
Sure.
Shoved it to the side. About maybe a week later, got another letter. Same premise. Your son was beautiful, thank you. I wouldn't be here without him. And I go, wait. Something's happening. Something's going on.
Father's trying to tell you something.
Yeah. He got my attention.
He surely did.
Then we got another letter from a random Jehovah's Witness. Said, listen, Julian has passed away. We understand that you might be in some pain. Don't worry. You'll see him again. That's what the letter said. You'll see him again. And that's why when you said that, I said, that's funny. That's what the letter said to me. Mm-hmm. And I keep getting these signals. I'm able to be here today because the anger has what's the right word?
Subsided a little bit.
Just a little. It subsided a little bit.
That's all right, man. We know you have days.
Yeah,
everybody has days.
It subsided a little bit. But you know what keeps me going and what drives me is being at the store. And as opposed to me using the store for financial gain, it's actually helped me to reach a bunch of other kids who might be on the fence, who might be thinking about doing something else. And I had to really say that because I was given a speech at Howie at the Hills Library on Monday about comics to a room full of kids and some big kids. What the adults, I call them big kids because that's what they are. Mm-hmm. And I didn't think I did a bang up job. I just spoke from the heart, and the library closed at 5. I was there until about 5:30, 5:40. People were asking me questions. They wanted to know other things about comics. They wanted to know other things about collectibles. Well, I shared it with them, but I also told them that, listen, collectibles and comics can also be used in an educational format. I have teachers that come to me all the time to do this. They said, hey, great. We'll do that. And I get a Facebook message yesterday. It said, listen, we had an idea. We want you to come back. And I go, why do you want me to come back? Well, we want you to share more with the kids. The kids seem to be looking up to you. They seem to be listening to you as far as getting their chores, doing their schoolwork, getting good grades in school, trying their best. They're looking out for you. And I'm like, okay, God, what are you doing? That's all I could say. I don't have the energy for all of this. Why are you doing this to me? And I would be sitting at home, and it'll just wash over me and it'll say, relax. Now do you understand why he had to leave? That's the only reason that I'm able to be sitting here in the studio with you people today. That is the only reason, because otherwise I would not be here. I couldn't be here. I'm not even going to sit here and whitewash it, try to lie about it. No. I couldn't do it. I will say that there is a coach who, and my son's last coach, Coach James, when Julian passed away, he said, I want you to be an assistant coach. And I told him, I said, I don't want to be an assistant coach. I can't do it. I said, I've got a lot of anger. I've got a lot of frustration. I can't do it. He says, you have to do it. I will say I have thought a lot of different thoughts as far as what I'm going to do for me, for myself, for Angela. And in those 2 months that Julian passed away, and then in that 2 month period, I honestly had thought about suicide, because I'm like, I want to see Julian, and I can't see him if I'm here, so I got to do this. That's when he persevered and said, look, I want you to be a coach. I want you to be an assistant coach on the team. I said, Coach, I've never coached before. I said, I know a little bit about basketball. I never coached. He said, just come and do it. There's another guy. His name's Joey. He was one of the first people to come up, and he says, he owns a comic book shop, Comic Kings, in Virginia Beach. He came up to me and he says, gave me a hug. I was in his store. I'll never forget it. He says, I'm so sorry. He says, I'm sorry. He says, anything I can do, let me know. There was another guy, owns a comic book shop. There's a theme here. His name's Wayne. He told me the same thing. Anything you need, anything I can do, you just let me know. And sometimes you say that just as a way of, it's just something to say. It's just something that you do to be polite. Well, I put them to the test, and they meant it. And they actually came through for me. And they have no idea how much they've come through for me, because, again, I wouldn't be here because I was feeling that low and I was going into that situation. Well, God told these 3 people that, hey, tell him 3 times, and that way he won't do it, and he'll go and do what you want him to do. And they all told me, don't do it, stay here. And I know that was God telling me, your time is not yet.
Amen to that.
Your time is coming, it's not yet. And I'm praying that it will be at a ripe old age, and that everything was my wife, by the way. Sorry about that.
She not listening?
Maybe she is.
Get on
She
to her.
might be.
Maybe she is, and she's feeling he needs a little.
Yes, but that was basically they kept me on track. They kept me from doing something stupid or something rash. It was something that I would regret.
I was told it's selfish because I tried it. I was thinking the same thing 12 years ago.
Were you really?
Yes. You're in good company.
Yep, both of us.
Wow.
And I definitely bear witness with your whole story because I had a special needs daughter too.
Mm-hmm.
You need to take that?
I don't know.
We can pause for station identification.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's pause for a station break.
Got somebody on Mixler, but they'll bear with us.
All right.
We're not burning any tape here.
Cool. Oh, matter of fact, I'll just text her and let her know, hey, I'm on this.
But I had a special needs daughter, that had a very rare blood disorder at a young age, 9 months of age.
Really?
She wasn't expected to live through the year and had a liver and kidney transplant. And a very, very long story, very short, And then there's a lot of times I sat at her bedside thinking she's not going to be here tomorrow. And I have those very same conversations that you did. And raising my fist at the Lord and going,
Yes.
Why is she suffering?
Bring
Take
it,
me.
give it to me. Yes.
So why would you, I would just get crazy with God. But that's what we need to do. That's what he wants us to do, and he honors that.
That's
So I get it, man. I'm heartfelt right in there with you, man. I battled the...
it's rough, though. It is rough.
And the anger is real. The struggle is real. I'm telling you, I turned my back on God for years.
Yep, and that's why I tell people, and I was hoping, and I guess I'm supposed to be saying this, but anyone that's listening, I know whatever pain you have, be angry, but remember, God still loves you, and it's just like if you're having a fight with a loved one. Hey, you have fights, you have disagreements, but God still loves you. I still love you. Don't give up. And I tell people that all the time, and they come into the shop and they go, hey, I don't have a job. Okay, how are you doing though? Well, I'd be better if I had a job. Aren't you better now? Aren't you walking around? Aren't you breathing? Aren't you in good health? It's like, hey, your wife's working. She has an income. Until you get your income, her income is your income. And I know what some women say, what's mine is yours and what's mine is mine. But,
Yeah.
sorry.
Right. That was funny. I don't care who you are.
But, it's really amazing.
Yep.
How people.
But you were in the right place at the right time to be offered to come here on God Stories Radio. Tell it for the first time, because I'll say it again. This is going to be healing for you.
Amen to that.
I feel that, I know that, and my whole premise and my whole thing is, hey, this has got to help me, but I want it to help someone as well.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Amen.
I don't want to be just selfish and
No.
it just helps me. I need this to help someone else, and
You
I know.
helped me already. Hey, you and I are going to grab coffee, and I mean that. We're going to
Sounds
sit down.
good.
We're going to take over a Denny's somewhere and exchange testimonies and stuff like that, man.
Yeah,
Because
really.
I'm tracking with you on this story.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you, it really hits very, very close to home for me.
Well, and that's why whenever I go back to Virginia now, it's not that it's different. It's that it's surreal. I look back on everything that we've had in Virginia, what we have here, and it's not much difference. The only difference is Julian isn't here. When he got accepted to Montverde, he was just like, yeah, okay, I knew I was going to get it, but I'm good. But that is great, though. I can't wait to go. We're trying to reach out to his niece, who he calls a sister. They're about the same age. She was born in September. He was born in July. And it's been a little tough on her because he was going to Mount Vernon Academy. She was going to go to Mount Vernon Academy. And she presently lives in New Jersey. Well, we're trying to get her to come here for her senior year of high school so that she can go to college and follow in Julian's footsteps, because that's what he would have wanted. And it's been tough for her. At her Sweet 16 party, she lit a candle for him. Of course, everyone broke down. We broke down. We didn't know she was going to do that. But, it's funny, that my son, it keeps touching people from...
How old was he?
The grade. He was 13.
When he passed?
Yes.
He was 13? Look at the legacy
I know,
has
right?
at 13.
At 13, yes.
Wow.
And how long ago was this?
This was 3 years ago. At 13.
Wow.
It's people don't realize it when they come to the store. Everything that's there is a testament to Julian.
And not only that, it's birthed something in you to be able to carry on his legacy, but to minister to kids his age and struggling and hurting kids. I mean, you can't put a price on that.
No.
I mean, the Lord knows what he's doing.
I mean, it's funny.
And Julian's here.
Yeah, he is.
He's here.
The big kids, though, are the ones that we really, really are trying to reach. The big kids are just... what's the right way to say this without offending anyone? So I'm going to just say it. I don't care. The big kids sometimes act like they're 2 years old and they stomp around. Oh, my God, I want this. It's not happening. Why? And I just look at them and I go, so listen, what is it that you're trying to accomplish? What is it that you want to do? Is it just for you, or is it for someone or something? I said, when you can answer that question, everything else takes care of itself. And we try hard to give back to the community. But I will be honest, at one point, the community thought that we were not the best people to have a comic shop because of the color of our skin.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Oh, boy.
Yes. We actually got that. And when we were open for the first 2 months, we were lucky to get one person to come into the store. Didn't change anything.
That breaks my heart.
Yeah, I tell you, the Lord will...
Yeah, but just like you said, people said it wasn't gonna last long, and you've been there for 2 years.
Yep.
It's still going because you're not only again about yourself, you're about the community and others, and Father will take care of that.
Amen to that.
Amen.
They said we wouldn't last a week on our podcast or even a month.
Yeah, you said that
and
y'all
we're going
here.
into year 6.
Yeah, and I heard that, and
200 episodes.
I went, year 6?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's God.
Oh, my
Praise
goodness.
Father.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
So
we are the king of the shameless plug, so go for it.
Yes, we are. Plug away, brother.
All right. Windows Comics and Collectibles. We are here to service your collectible needs. We want your collection to grow. We're not trying to line our pockets with your money. We're trying to give you quality collectibles and comics at affordable prices. And also, we are trying to get you to experience something different other than the different comic shops or the different conventions that are in the area. We want you to have these experiences. One experience in particular is in the state right next to us in Atlanta, Georgia. It happens on Labor Day every year. It's Dragon Con. We have a bus going there. The cost is $150, but that $150 covers the bus ride there and back and your ticket to Dragon Con for 1 day only. Don't pass up this opportunity to come and visit our store. We have friendly staff, excellent customers that are there, and if you just want to come and hang out and sit down,
I'm coming to hang out.
Just come shoot the breeze.
Are you reading that or
no?
That's God.
My goodness.
No.
And
Well,
where
you're just flowing with it, man.
can
I'll
you
tell
give
you.
the address
Yeah,
so
give the
people know where
address.
to go?
194 North Highway 27, Suite A in Claremont. If you are not familiar with Claremont, but you are familiar with a particular tax office, the old tax office location, that's where we are
Right across
now.
from the Citrus Tower.
Yes, right across the street from Citrus Tower.
Man. That's the best commercial I've ever heard. I thought, where's his paper, man? He's reading that.
Wow.
No, that's strictly the passion and love for collectibles and knowing the power of the collectibles, just like the power of the Lord. He drives you, he moves you. You will move heaven and earth to save money to buy a $200 statue. We'll do the same thing for God, and God will repay you in kind. And every time we do it, we've gotten a blessing.
That's what I'm talking about.
Uh-huh.
I'm going down to hang out. Bring some coffee.
Did you hear that, Joe?
Well, Sylvester, I want to personally thank you
Yes.
for being willing to open up to us
For the first time.
and to the God Stories Radio family and share Julian's story.
Yes.
You know, Julian's legacy is going to continue to live on through you and your wife. And it's, you know, I don't think it's an accident, everything that happened. I think that Julian was the type of kid that would willingly give his life to save 200 others.
Yes, he would. Yes, he did.
Yeah, he unselfishly gave every day of his life, and then they're steady finding out about things that they
Right.
didn't know, and I think that is just amazing, and I think that's healing in itself, that the Lord is just
And
showing
then-
his accomplishments and the legacy.
And this testimony, too. You know, you don't know how many lives it's going to touch as well.
Yeah. There's other people that are going through the same or have gone through the same thing that needed to hear this.
Amen. Well, we've had some people on Mixler, not a soul is left. They're still with us.
Yeah.
An hour and 17 minutes later.
Wow.
Thank you, God.
Amen to that.
My goodness. Amen. I never thought I'd be able to say that openly and willingly, but amen. Yes.
Amen.
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 Wow.
I think this is just the beginning
It
of
is. It really is.
Yeah.
It
of
is.
your, you know, healing and your walk with God, your continued walk with God. I'm excited to see what God is going to do in your life.
Yeah, I think God's going to blow up that comic shop. I'm telling you. There are going to be some folks going in there, and not for comics. You know, they're going to be. You got to go see Sylvester.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's funny. People think of comics, they think of Spider-Man, Superman.
Sure, that's what we grew up with.
Well, there's a comic book that no one really talks about, but I can't keep it in the store. It's called the Holy Bible. It's an oversized comic book.
Wow.
I can't keep it in the store. I've had 7 copies of that book. It's called the Treasury Edition. Treasury size book is what it's called, and it's called the Holy Bible. It has the story of Noah, Cain and Abel, Adam and Eve. I can't keep it in the store.
Well, my son, who is very, very close to the age of is very close to the age of Julian, has learning disabilities, and the first Bible that he was able to read, like on his own, was the Action Bible, which is in comic book format.
Exactly.
And we used to buy him lots of comics in order to encourage him to read and to at least try, because it was less intimidating with all the pictures there and so forth. They could kind of follow the story.
Exactly. But I tell people when they come in there and they want to buy comics for the first time, they have to go through a questionnaire. I ask them, hey, what do you like? Tell me what's your favorite character? Do you have one? Have you seen a character? We really want to get people learning. And if they can read, then you'll be able to read the Bible. You'll be able to study.
Amen to that.
You'll be able to study more. And that's what it's all about. I don't try to mince words. I don't try to shortcut. It's, I can do this or I can't do this. It's that simple. My word is my bond. I cannot break my word. I gave God my word. I broke my word. And now here I am back asking, hey, I'm back, God. So
how many times have I done
me.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, forgive me.
It's funny how the Lord, through his pain, had him serving.
Mm-hmm.
And
yes.
that's
serving is also healing.
It's a common theme. We've all been through it. When that time when I'm not going to use the word hate, but we were in the most angry at the Lord, somebody would approach us about serving. I'm like, what?
Yes.
You want me to do what? I don't even want to go to church, nevertheless serve. Mm-hmm. But we did it. And it just, the blessings flowed, man. It was just amazing. And
yes,
you touched lives, and it's nothing that you did, but you were there. You were a part of it. Man, you just can't put words on that, so.
You've got a brotherhood right here.
Oh, big time.
I can tell.
Yeah.
Me and Mikey are coming down. We're going to hang out.
Sounds good. We got a table.
Hanging
we got
down
chairs.
at the comic shop. That's it, man. We got to come up with a jingle for you and maybe do some radio spots or something. Of course, you can do your own, man. You got a great voice. I thought you were reading that script. That's amazing.
No, when you believe something, it just comes to you.
Amen
naturally.
to that.
Absolutely.
You got that right.
Right. I mean, you know your own testimony better than anybody, and if you're ready, it'll flow. Especially if you have the Holy Spirit lead you.
Amen.
Well, that's what got me here.
Uh-huh.
Amen to that.
Well, that was session 202.
Session 202. Wow. Yeah, just amazing. If you were touched by that, drop us a line at godstoriesradio@gmail.com, and you can also
tweet us
on Twitter. We love to hear from you there.
And don't forget to like us
on Facebook so we don't have the awkward moment.
And if you have anything that you want to send to Sylvester, some comments, some words of encouragement, feel free to go ahead and write in the show. We'll make sure that he gets them.
Yeah, yes, Sylvester's family now, and he'll be a regular. We'll bring him back, and maybe we'll get the wife in here too.
Yeah,
she would love it.
She's got testimony.
She was so upset that she couldn't be here, and I said, "I'm sorry, honey, but you can't drive back from Tampa after you have to take your people to dinner." So,
apologize to her that we were hanging up on her, but we'll make it up to her. We'll get her in here, and we'll be here. Her testimony, and that'd be awesome. We'll just have a good time.
Yeah,
that sounds good to me. I will pass the word on to her. I'm sure she would love to do it.
Amen to that. All right. Well, thanks for hanging out with us. This went a little long tonight, but that's okay. You don't put God in a box.
No,
you don't, man. So if Sylvester's blessed you, please drop us a line. godstoriesradio@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you, and if the Lord so impresses on your heart to press the button, you can go to godstoriesradio.com, and we have a little PayPal button on the front there that you can press. And
some of our equipment's getting a little slow.
Some of the
old.
equipment, my iMac that I do everything on, the old girl's hanging in there, but it won't be much longer. So any help's greatly appreciated. We love it. We don't beg for money.
Yeah.
The Lord supplies all our needs according to His riches and glory, and He'll do the same for you. So.
Right, and don't forget to join us in prayer for Dan and Danielle Archer.
Yes,
as what they're going through right now together, unbelievable.
Yes, unbelievable. All right, well that about wraps it up for session 202. I'm Fritz.
I'm Mike,
and I'm Tina.
God bless.
God bless.
God bless.
Spend today in a conversation in the mirror, face to face with somebody less than perfect. I wouldn't choose me first if I was looking for a champion. In fact, I'd understand if you picked everyone before me. But that's just not my story. True to who you are, you saw my heart and made something famous in my Father's eyes.